I first heard about the dopamine detox thing back in early 2021, like 2 years ago. It seemed like the answer to all my problems from all these self improvement YouTubers that I had started watching at the time. And I wasn't really ready back then to put the phone down and all that type of shit. I didn't really self reflect as much. I was just real angsty and shit. But now forward, having done all of that, I realized that the dopamine detox is really just pointless and stupid. And it's not because it lacks merit. There's good sides to it, of course. But it's just like a band aid to the problem. It's like a fat person going on a crash diet for a week, or the people on The Biggest Loser going on this program and then gaining all the weight back again because they wanted a quick fix. They wanted it to just be like this big thing, but it's not. The dopamine detox says that you're gonna go quit looking at your phone, quit all the things on your computer, what yada 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 yada, for like a week or so, and your brain is gonna like reset. That's pretty much the gist of it. But it's pretty wrong because it doesn't really feel like anything different whenever you just go 1 week. The only way to get a benefit from it is a long lasting lifestyle change into something more towards digital minimalism, which is the practice of deeply evaluating where you go wrong with technology, whether that's doom scrolling for a couple hours at a time, whether that's just binging a TV show for fucking 8 hours, maybe that's watching internet porn for just like looking down and being like, holy shit, I've been looking at this for hours. Those are the things that you have to reflect. Or maybe it's just like you constantly, like maybe 10 times an hour, will check your notifications on your phone. All these things you have to reflect into yourself what you do exactly. And then go back and pluck out the things. And you don't have to get rid of the phone. There's a bell curve to this thing, or you can be at the bottom where you still are just stuck in, addicted to all these things, or you can go on the other side where you're like militant. You don't take your phone anywhere. You don't do anything. You don't use technology. You're like a fucking Amish person. There's two sides to this coin, but then there's this middle ground where it really comes down uniquely to you and deciding what you want. To use myself as an example, I average about like an hour of screen time a day, and that's it. And it doesn't, to me, it kind of sounds like a lot even now, but on average, that's literally nothing compared to what most people spend on their phone. Say someone has an 8-hour job, not only will they check that like 20 times during that, probably more than that, they'll come home and then they'll spend like another 2 hours on the son of a bitch. And it's too powerful of a distraction to not have some sort of a limiting practice towards it. It's designed completely to suck you in and keep you addicted and keep you scrolling, and all these things and all these apps are tethered. Then you have this algorithm that pushes you every once in a while. You get like this perfect piece of content that's has the perfect context of the situation of what you're thinking about and all that, and it draws you in, and then it's filled by like another 50 minutes of just bullshit fed into your brain. And all in all, communally, if you're looking into the dopamine detox at all, you know that this is a negative, but the internet technology is so complex where whenever I started and I first found out about the dopamine detox, the first thing I did was I quit video games. I haven't played video games in over 2 years. There's only been like one couple little splurts where I went back in just like through nostalgic things, and I just checked it out, and I still realize I'm not missing out on anything. That's where you got to get to, is you got to quit looking at these little like productivity enhancement things like, oh my god, dude, oh my god, I can't go anywhere without my phone because I can't like make sure that nobody liked my post. I can't go anywhere because I get lost with my GPS. I'm gonna die. That's what it sounds like whenever these people start justifying how much they need this tool that people survived for thousands of years without. Oh my god, dude, if I get lost, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, if I can't call my parents, I'm gonna die, or my friends. If I can't look up the problem to all my life's, if I can't look up the solution to the problems of in daily life on YouTube, I'm gonna die. Bullshit, bro. If I can't get my daily dose of motivation to get up, I'm gonna die. It's bullshit, bro. You don't need this fucking shit. It's just clutter. A lot of it is clutter. Now me, I make these videos, I do podcasts, and I use technology mainly to make my music. I use Ableton Live. I make my music. I maybe like twice a week I'll watch a movie with my grandpa and shit like that. But other than that, and I listen to a podcast while I'm at work. I'm a general contractor and I build houses and shit like that. And whenever I get into a specific point, and this is going to be touching on a little bit of the pros that I still find with technology. I don't know why I'm talking about it like I'm Amish, but whenever it comes to the phone in your pocket type thing, whenever I get to a monotonous point during the day with the job where it's the same thing for like 3 or 4 hours, I'll find a very relevant podcast to me and listen and learn and make connections in my brain while I'm doing something that is mindless work. Now, to argue the more towards the minimalism side with this, could I find a way to be more present in the moment during that? Yes, of course. Could I find a way to like record on tape players my music instead of staring at a blue light screen the whole time? Yeah, of course. Could I give up making these videos for the short-term gain of maybe making money off of it? Sure. Yes. But that proves my point with the minimalism over the dopamine detox right there. It takes self-evaluation of what your pros and cons are with this shit, and you enact that very strategically. Like me, it's 6:30 right now in the morning. I woke up at 5 and I checked my phone once, and it was to download a podcast for the day because I got a notification of that. Nothing else. Don't check the fucking views on my videos. Don't check the messages from my friends. Don't check any of the group chats I'm in. Don't check shit. I get straight outside, get the fucking workout in, come back inside, read for like 30 minutes to an hour, make one of these videos, and I'm off to work. And during that time, to describe my process with this so you have a better understanding of it, I pick very routinely times to utilize this. So it takes me 30 minutes to get where I need to go for my job, right? This will be my time to listen to music. I see a lot of these videos popping up nowadays also about like how music is terrible for you, and it's just another distraction. A lot of these like hardcore self-improvement people have been preaching this. While I don't necessarily disagree, because everything we fucking do is a distraction, dependent on what your goals are, music can be a great motivator and almost more in-depth than fucking human language. The emotions that you can feel with certain music, the inspirations artistically you can get from hearing for something. So that 30-minute drive, sometimes I dead silence, but most times I'll use it to listen to some new music I heard about or whatnot. So that, and I get to work. The first whole hour of work, no noise, just me, my boss, just work, just in the moment. And then once the monotony kicks in, I put the podcast on for, it's like anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. But you have to make sure, if you're going to go the podcast route, there's very, very, very valuable information in these podcasts with the discussions, with the things you can learn, with the little bits of motivation you can gain from it. It's like It's different from a book, but it's almost as important as a book because you're listening to these ideas developed in not a very correlated way, but it's very interesting. So, the podcast, then the rest of the half of work, the other 3 or so hours, back to in the present moment. Come home, I drive home in silence because I don't want clutter. Come home, run like 2 miles. That's what I normally do on a day. Some days I'll drop it down to a mile. I ain't gonna bullshit nobody. But run straight into the shower, and then I start working on my music, that type of shit later in the day. But my previous routine, if I would have told you my routine like 4 months ago, it would be listen to a podcast almost the entire day, then come home and do a little bit of work, make a video or whatever, and then watch a movie or YouTube for the rest of the whole day. And I feel like that's a commonality with most people. Most people are, and this goes along with the YouTube addiction, because this has been my biggest struggle over everything. I do not struggle anymore with a lot of my addictions. I don't drink alcohol. I've been like 8 months sober from that. I don't smoke weed. Every once in a while, like maybe every 3 or 6 months, whenever I meet up with a certain group of friends, I'll get high. I feel like there's a little bit of a utility with weed, with like after you smoke it, like a couple days after you smoke, it changes up things, but that's a rambling different discussion. But my biggest one is I quit video games, and I was super procrastinated with the things I wanted to do whenever it came to creating art, whenever it came to making these videos and sharing content online, as Gary Vee would say. Content, dude, you gotta make content. I procrastinated it, and I filled that procrastination gap to like make myself not think about how much I was procrastinating by watching videos. And the crazy thing, speaking again on the algorithm, is how relevant this shit can be. Like, you can reload your fucking notifications in like the most relevant thing you could ever think of in terms of the context you were talking about, searching on your phone, or thinking about, is right there. And don't get me, and on TikTok, it's even 10 times worse. Like, it's fucking like down to the T of like, there's some gems on that. Don't get me wrong. YouTube videos and TikTok videos, every once in a while there's a fucking gem where your life is bettered by seeing it. But you must weigh out the pros and cons. If I'm going to spend an hour plus scrolling to find that gem, or finding that gem makes me want to find another one of those gems, so I scroll an hour plus, is it worth it? Is it worth it? That is the true question. These things are just modern conveniences that people who have lived with for thousands of years without these tools. And just now, we have this fucking little device and these computers that were designed by fucking nerds in Silicon Valley to entice you and addict you. There's been so many people. I think Sean Parker of Facebook literally came out and said that there are people who their whole job is to find ways to keep people addicted. And we already know that's true with TikTok. So you really got to weigh out the pros and the cons of, is the little bit of a boost, the little bit of a pro, good enough to explain and keep you addicted? Is it good enough? I don't believe so. I truly believe, but I also don't believe in like giving it up completely. I believe in taking very disciplined approaches to your tools. I use power tools and saws and shit all day long. And if I'm not careful and I just mindlessly go about cutting, I'm going to cut crooked. I can cut my fucking fingers off, and I can fuck up my job. I can fuck up my work, fuck up my material. So I mindfully approach the tool. Why don't we do this with technology? Why is it so universal that everybody is just like, okay, dude, I'm just gonna sit here and just let this thing control me? No, bro. And I'm not trying to be on like some fucking like dystopian science fiction novel shit talking about like the AI and shit. No, bro. I'm just being realistic with this shit. You know deep down how much time you waste. Because every single time I've ever wasted hours fucking scrolling, hours doing this, some binging, some shows I'm actually like, I can't say because I'm not in the future if I would have rather had the time back for binging a certain TV show. Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Stranger Things, fucking great shows. I probably would go back and stretch them out and not try to watch 8-hour increments of these fucking shows. I don't think that's very healthy, and I think that can be a waste of a time. But I think there's the art in these shows are very, very good for you to see and understand whenever it comes to making art. But that's a different thing. Talking on how good I feel about going on like a fucking hour porn binge. How good I feel about going and scrolling on Instagram Reels for an hour. Holy shit, dude. All these car wrecks and fucking people getting hurt and just like, I don't feel good after that. It feels good in the moment because your fucking whatever chemicals in your brain are just going off. But afterwards, you're like, you look at your watch and you're like, damn, dog, I just wasted an hour and a half looking at tits. I just wasted 3 hours watching 15-minute YouTube videos, and I told myself I'd only watch this one. But I scrolled down, and there was another one that was just as enticing. It's bullshit, bro, and you know it. You got to stay more disciplined with this. I like to, some practices that also help me without what I just explained. Again, to touch on the dopamine detox, it's just a quick fix to the problem. This is a lifestyle change. And the practices, some more practices that I will explain to you right now, can include practicing being alone. A lot of us were tortured by the thoughts in our own mind and our own inadequacies, so we cling to these quick devices that silence all that chatter in your brain. Practice being alone with those thoughts. I really like David Goggins because that motherfucker takes it to the extreme where he's just like, I don't work out with fucking music, bitch. I don't work out with music, bitch. You sitting there with your little phone and your Fruit Loop, son. Get outside and run, boy. It sounds extreme whenever you're not on it, but I don't run and I don't work out with music. I built myself a gym here and I run my trails on my property, but I don't do it with music. I sit there and just evaluate the thoughts in my brain. It sounds crazy. If I told myself 2 months ago that's what I do, I'd be like, what the fuck? But there's a very interesting thing that happens when you practice being alone with the thoughts in your head. This sense of boredom kind of like enacts this portal to a creative world where like these creative thoughts just start pouring into your fucking brain. It's really interesting. Like, I could sit here and just stare at my wall, and all of a sudden I'll come up with, like, an ingenious video idea, in my opinion, and it just flows out of me, or a whole fucking song, a whole orchestrated song, and lyrics and everything, or ideas, paintings, visuals for paintings. I'll do oil painting. This shit just like pours out of you with boredom and just being stuck in your own mind. And of course, you have to navigate like the monkey mind chatter as well. Like, I'll just be like sitting there and like some deep shit will be going through my brain, and then all of a sudden a fucking an 80s pop song will start playing over and over and over and over. Or like me thinking the weirdest, stupidest, like most pointless thing will just pop up. And it's interesting to study that in your own brain, and you start to discover and find yourself in that. So practicing being alone, practicing being mindful at all times, and don't allow boredom to fucking knee-jerk you into just scrolling. Don't allow that. Be mindful at all times of what you're doing. Those are a couple practices. I might make a couple more videos on this, but I think I kind of summed it up the best. Dopamine detox is stupid as shit because it's just like a fucking Biggest Loser going on a crash diet. You're just going to rebound. There is no point to it. But if you practice digital minimalism in a completely tailored, personally tailored to you way of interacting with technology, that right there is the gold standard, I believe. That is what we should be aiming for. If you enjoy this, like, comment, subscribe, whatever shit YouTube fuckers say. And chase paper, enjoy nature, old son. Have a good one.